It's bad news for bill payers in the UK as inflation has surged to its highest level for more than a year. According to the Office for National Statistics, inflation hit 3.5% in the year to April, up from 2.6% in March, and the highest since January. Joining me now to make sense of these figures is Greg Marsh, co-founder and CEO of Nous. Greg, thank you so much for speaking to us, helping us make a bit of sense of this news today. It seems like it's difficult news for both the Chancellor, but also bill payers. Why has inflation jumped?
Yeah, yet again, we thought that the demon was slayed and it comes back to life like the end of a horror movie. The challenge is that the cost of everything, particularly the price of energy, has surged, and with it, all those other things that happened in April, the rise in the cost of mobile phones, of broadband bills, everyone moves their pricing at the same time. The consequence is a typical UK household is some £451 worse off, according to our analysis, because of this change. 3.5% increase in inflation, which is not only a shock for householders, it'll be very bad news for the Bank of England when they're thinking about setting interest rates.
And as you say, your analysis shows a fairly significant increase. Do we know which bill that went up in April had the biggest contribution to bill payers seeing everything go up?
It's across the board: water, energy. Also, it's a postcode lottery. For instance, if you're down in the south of England, in Brighton, it's closer to £550. If you're further up in the north of England, it's a little bit less severe. But no matter where you live, you are going to be feeling this, and you're going to be feeling it across the board. As I say, it's companies tend all to move their pricing in April, and it's so easy to let these things slip. We know at some level that we should go and check for cheaper deals, that we should stay on top of this stuff, but it's very easy to let it slip away. And if you don't actively police, every company does use this time of year as an opportunity to increase their prices on top of the underlying cost of energy increasing.
And experts are anticipating that inflation will actually peak at some point between July and September this year. Is there a risk that bill payers will see more doom and gloom ahead?
There is, for two distinct reasons. The first is that experts are as often wrong as they are right. And while we can all make forecasts, the Bank of England's own forecasts have been consistently over optimistic. Predictions that inflation was now back under control under that 2% target have proved, repeatedly unreliable. But in addition to that, because of higher inflation, 3.5% headline rate, 3.8% core rate, which is the one the bank really looks at, that means that when they come to set interest rates, they're unlikely to have the confidence to lower interest rates from their current level. The markets are currently predicting that interest rates will stay at their current level of 4.25%, which, if you're a mortgage payer or have credit card debt, means more bad news for longer. So unfortunately, this is bad news. It's bad news for the economy, and it's bad news for British households, who yet have another thing to worry about in awful April as it leads into miserable May.
And as you mentioned, these figures released today, particularly the core inflation figure, are very important when it comes to the Bank of England's next decision on interest rates. Do you think it's likely they'll press on with another rate cut, given what we've seen today?
Not anytime soon. I think we've got several more months probably of wait and see before we're going to see interest rates come down to the kinds of levels we got used to. And the problem with that is, as I say, if you're in debt of any kind, including just a mortgage, you feel that really hard in your pocket at the end of each month. But if you don't have a mortgage, don't be complacent. If you're renting your property, the chances are the landlord you're renting it from does have a mortgage. And so higher interest rates mean that they're going to feel pressure to increase rents, which again means we all pay more just to stay afloat. So again, this is a sort of a system that perpetuates. The sooner that inflation comes down, the sooner it will stay down and stay under control. But until that happens, you're going to hear a lot more doom and gloom from the Bank of England, and a lot more anxiety and hand-wringing from the government about how to get inflation back under control.
And as you say, households, landlords, and businesses have already come under a certain amount of pressure. How much of an impact has the employer's national insurance contribution going up had? Are we seeing businesses put up their prices and consumers feeling that knock on impact as a result?
I think we have begun to hear lots of noises from businesses about having to pass on those higher costs, those higher employment taxes, which in turn means, of course, that it costs them more to run their business, and they've got to get that money back from somewhere. So we were warned. Businesses did say in the budget last year that the effect of increasing national insurance tax would be to raise prices, and some of that may be starting to trickle through. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of that to come, particularly for businesses in heavy labor services industries like hospitality, for instance, in pubs and retail, where a lot of their costs are the people manning the tills or pulling pints. And so, for those kinds of businesses, I think they have started to increase prices and they may increase prices further. What does that mean? More inflation. So, all of this becomes a self perpetuating cycle until we all collectively believe that the economy is going to be in a better state and back under control. It's going to keep getting a little bit worse every month. So I think the government is right to be worried. I think the Bank of England's right to be worried. But I care more about householders, because for ordinary people up and down the UK, what they feel is not the economics and the theory and the discussion between the politicians. What they feel is that life is more expensive this month than it was last month. And even if you do stay on top of your bills or use a service like Nous to try to do it for you, it still means the cost of everything is rising.
A lot for bill payers to take into account in the next few months. Greg Marsh, co-founder and CEO of Nous, thank you so much.